What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of X Factor Fantasy Football. I am your host, Swiper. So glad to be here with you today. This has been a fun fantasy football year. Some of us, one of us, just got our first win of the year. Overcame injuries and all that kind of stuff. But we are on the way to doing something hopefully special and still making the playoffs, y'all. So again, if your team don't look like you want it to look right now, there's still hope. That's why we're here. Help you work the waiver wire, help you work the trade, and give you updated information on players that can help you to win your week. Jenna, Jordan, how y'all doing today?
Good. Another week, another win. So just another day that ends in Y, another week that ends in K. So
Another week, another win. I got my first loss in both of my leagues this week. So not another win for me, but it's all right. Learned some lessons. Some lessons I think I'm going to have to relearn this week. I'm not even sure if I'm ready for this week. It messed me up last weekend.
Both of y'all are 4-1?
Yeah. Yep.
Love that. Well, we got a lot of stuff coming up this week. Obviously, you got to get the Thursday Night Football in this conversation as well. But y'all, there might be some really, really, really big information hitting the wire this week. So, Jenna, I want to go to you first. There's a particular player we might have some updates about.
Oh, yeah. My San Diego Chargers, they're still San Diego in my heart, so we'll keep them there. San Diego, LA Chargers are looking at getting Austin Ekeler back this week. He said he's 99% sure he's going to be back. He said he's feeling really good. He could have played in the bye week even. So I think they did him a really good service by letting him take that game off before the bye week, give him the extra week. He's going to look really good and healthy. I'm excited to play him this week. I'm hyped to see what he looks like. And of course, I think the matchup suits him this weekend.
Cool. Well, that's good news. If you got Austin Ekeler and then you've been holding on to him and didn't trade him, then hopefully you're about to reap the benefits of that. For those of us that have been trying to get Austin Ekeler and were unable to at the low price, then that time might be up unless you can try to swing him before that Sunday matchup. But that's on Austin Ekeler. Jordan, this is good news for me because I have this player on my roster. Give me an update, please, Jordan.
Yeah, so Saquon, similar to Austin's been out for a little bit. They're looking at getting him back as well. So he was limited in practice today. Normally, if you're getting any type of practice report from a player on a Wednesday and there's no setback the next day, he's probably going to play. So the fact that he's limited, if you from the outside looking in might seem bad, but limited in this case is actually good because they don't have to put him on the practice field at all if he's even iffy. So I think he'll be a go this week, and boy, do they need him because their offense leaves a lot to be desired, and that's putting it mildly. So Saquon, if he's back, I'm firing him up. We have Buffalo this week, is it?
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Firing him up. I don't even care. Not batting an eye because they need.
Well, what's funny is Travis Etienne just ran through Buffalo, so you hope that even though offensive line's not going to be as good, passing game not going to be as good, that Saquon's going to be able to give you a nice performance versus that Buffalo defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I totally agree. Yeah, so Saquon being back, I think you confidently start him as an RB1, and finally we can end this, running back carousel behind anyone that is not named Saquon Barkley. You just never know where it's going to come from if it's not Saquon. So nice, reliable name. Finally back.
Yeah, what's funny is like Saquon is one of the run one backs where he has one of the most useless handcuffs in the NFL because even if you try to play one of them, Matt Breida, you're not going to get near the production because the fact that makes Saquon so valuable is how talented he is behind a mediocre offensive line and within a bad offense. And that just gets me thinking too, Jordan, like, bro, I don't know who it could be, but a team like the 49ers, if somebody could swing a Saquon deal like they did for CMC and to put him on a roster like the Eagles or, again, one of these teams that's a really good team that just need that last piece, Saquon could be the most invaluable player in fantasy football. But, we just have to settle for him being a top 3, top 4 back without it.
Yep.
Look,
top 3, top 4 backs. So sad.
All right, y'all. So we're going to get into Thursday Night Football too. So this week we have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos. Now, there's a lot to this. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are the favorite, as they should be. The Denver Broncos have been not treading water. They have been drowning in mud water so far this season. But the rumor on the street is Javonte Williams was not only practicing, he was a full participant for this week coming up versus the Chiefs. And so I have a question for you all. If you are getting ready for this matchup and you know the Broncos defense has not been good, are there players that you are willing to play on the Chiefs? And if so, who? And then if you are on the side of having some players who are on the Broncos side, who are you comfortable playing this week in the Thursday night football matchup?
Chiefs. So which players on which teams I'm comfortable playing? Chiefs, obviously Mahomes, Kelsey.
Is Kelsey playing this week?
You said what?
Is Kelsey for sure playing this week?
It looks like it. I believe he was limited in practice as well. So I would be surprised if he wasn't out there. That could be one of those things though, where the limited status kind of, you're really going to get a sense, I think, from if he plays or not, how they feel about the Broncos. And I'll just put it like that, because the limited status normally, like I said, would lead you to believe he's going to play. But if he doesn't play, that's going to tell me more about what they feel about the Broncos than where he is health wise. If he's out there though, if he's active, I'm starting him, starting Kelsey, starting Mahomes. At this point, I'm comfortable with Pacheco if I have him as like a flex.
Yeah. Especially with that Broncos run D, I think is given up. I think they've given up like over 700 yards in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I'm very comfortable with as a flex. Like I'm more RB2 is a little shakier, but as a flex, I'm fine putting him in that spot. Any of the other pass catchers?
Rashee Rice, anybody like that?
Nah.
I have Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice?
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do. He's on my roster.
Yeah. Unless you're in like a 16-team league or something. Nah.
Last week he had a touchdown on 5 targets, and he's done that twice this season already.
He might be holding the clipboard this week. You just never know with the cat.
I'll tell you what, if PS2 is going to be spending a lot of his time on Travis Kelce, which they may shadow, then Rashee Rice, MVS, Kadarius Toney. Well, I would probably trust Rashee Rice there. So if you need a flex because you're getting into some buys and you just don't know
the buy. Yeah, that is part of it. That's also true. Yeah. Yeah. Serious. Yeah. The buy portion of it, I totally agree with. Like, you just never know. You could, and sometimes the buys do sneak up on you. I know last week, and even though I won, I looked down and I had 3 or 4 guys out. I was like, oh wow, okay, be interesting week. So, that would definitely be a situation where a guy like Rashee could creep his way into your lineup.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up on my bench just because of the other options I have. Keenan Allen finally coming back from that bye week. That hurt me last week. That was a big reason why I wasn't able to win. Keenan Allen was coming through big for me. So hopefully he has another big game. But yeah, I'm hyped for this Thursday night matchup. You obviously like a divisional matchup for Swipa and for myself, who are Denver sort of natives. He's a native. I might as well be a native. This is a matchup like Denver hates Kansas City. I think I heard something like they've lost the last consecutive like crazy number.
Yeah, they haven't beaten them since 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
It's not happening Thursday either.
This ain't gonna be their year to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Never know.
No, if Denver somehow beats the Chiefs after losing to do you know that the Zach Wilson trivia? How many teams had Zach Wilson beat as the starting quarterback for the New York Jets? Just throw a number out, Jordan.
3.
No.
Higher or lower?
Lower.
2.
No.
1 team.
1. And guess who?
The Broncos?
The Denver Broncos. Exactly. So no, if they lose to the Jets and beat the Chiefs, I'll be livid. I'll be livid. Absolutely not. They need to be tanking every single day of the week. So this is my question for y'all. Javonte Williams is back. but Jaleel McLaughlin has been actually the RB1 for the Denver Broncos. Even if Javonte is back, are y'all still playing Jaleel? Or if you had to choose for this week, which one would you rather play, Jaleel McLaughlin or Javonte Williams?
Jordan, before you answer, just so that anybody watching knows, Swipa has RB1 for the Denver Broncos, RB2 for the Denver Broncos, and RB3 for the Denver Broncos on his, he has all three of the Broncos running backs on his roster, which is why he's asking us this question.
No, I just want to be sure because the running back situation been all over the place. I thought Samaje Perine was going to be the RB2 for the Broncos going into the year, and then Jaleel McLaughlin got all this hay and training camp and all that stuff, and then here we are now. He might be the best back on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I remind me of the nature of Javonte's injury.
So it's just a hip. It was just a hip contusion.
Yeah, that's right. The hip, yeah, I remember. I just need a quick memory jog. This is another situation where I'm looking at the practice reports. I'm really looking at how they're phrasing his involvement in practice today, tomorrow.
Full participant.
Full participant. I'm probably going to start. Well, one, I'm going to look at what was the snap count before he got hurt, and I'm going to use
Javonte dominated. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Then I'm gonna go with Javonte then. At least for this week, I'm going to go with that because if he's a full participant, and before the injury he was getting a significant percentage, then I'm going to go with Javonte. We see that sometimes there's an easing back in, and you'll typically see some of that of these backs who have been out, lead backs who have been out, and we typically will see that some of that will come out before the game, whether the morning of or Friday or at walkthroughs where they'll say like they plan on easing him back in. So if I see something like that, then maybe I go pivot to Jaleel, McLaughlin, I should say. But other than that, full participant, full go, he's in my lineup as my RB2, hopefully, not RB1.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I love Javonte, but it hasn't been clean. But I knew the first 8 weeks of the year it more than likely wasn't going to be that. But Jaleel just looks so explosive, so healthy. He's really every team he played against this year, he's gotten off big runs, scored touchdowns. So we'll have to see how that ends up. Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, are y'all rolling with them as well?
I feel like no. I don't know.
Neither one.
What was all the hype about Jerry Jeudy coming out of this week? There was all this negative talk.
I feel like he's gonna. I feel like
it's about the Carolina Panthers and following it, but I think he was already following Carolina Panthers, so that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I feel like Jerry shows signs to me. It's just the chemistry is not quite, is not quite where you would want it to be between those two. And then also, Jerry's draft position. So it's kind of a concave of things together as far as shaping people's perception of Jerry. But I that's someone who I still want on my fantasy roster as my fourth receiver or fifth receiver. I want him to be a bit of a stash. If you drafted him as your 2 or 3, you're probably going to be disappointed as far as like what you've gotten to this point, even if he does start to produce. But still somebody I want on my roster. Still somebody who out there are good matchups for down the rest of the schedule. Still someone we know with immense levels of talent, and like I always say, talent's there. I'm gonna rest on that. I'm not gonna try to overthink it from that regard, especially if it's something where I can put a low level of risk into it and say, let me just let you sit on my bench for a little bit at the back end, and let's see if you have a couple good weeks, then maybe I feel comfortable putting you.
Yeah, he balled out at the end of last year because he got all the targets and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably rolling with Courtland Sutton this week.
Exactly.
Between the two, Jenna. Yeah, no, it was a bad week. It was a bad week for him last week, but he's been the best receiver.
It's not even that last week was a bad week. He's averaging like 11 points. Is he really worth it? He's dropping balls all over the place. If you're going to give one of those guys a slot against Kansas City, I don't know if I'd go with Cortland. Kansas City's giving up points to wide receivers, so they could potentially score more than their 11 when they're getting their average targets, which is 4.5, 3 targets that they're actually actual receptions. Cortland gets hit in the chest a million times. If you just want to go off of who Russ likes to throw to, then yeah, go with Cortland. Will he catch it?
Yeah, Cortland's not having a bad year. He had 13.2, 11.6, 19.1, and then 11.7, then 2.3 last week because you only had one catch. So if you have to play one of them, Cortland's probably your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2. So I probably want to roll with him. But y'all, so that's Thursday night football. But then we have a lot of really quality matchups this upcoming weekend, and especially with our last few minutes. Are there any matchups in particular that you're looking at? I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think the Ravens Tennessee Titans game is going to be really interesting because I think the Raven pass catchers are going to be really upset. 8 dropped passes in one game. So Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, they all failed Lamar last week. I think that a pass catchers for the Ravens. Yep. I think this could be a really big game for players like Mark, for Zay Flowers this upcoming weekend.
Sure hope so with Mark. For me, if I'm looking at a matchup, let's see here. Let me load up the slate.
Bears, Vikings, Justin Field.
That's definitely one. There's not going to be a lot of defense on either side in that game, which is not what you would think for. And you would think an NFC North matchup would be kind of like not quite like a AFC North matchup, but not exactly a shootout. But in this new NFC North, that's anything but the case. But if I'm looking at the slate, I'm looking at the potential for that that Bengals Seahawks matchup could really be either or.
Yeah.
It could be a really, really low scoring game, or it could be a 38-35 type of a football game.
Well, it's in Cincinnati.
Yeah. So
Woolen and Reed. Is it Woolen and Reed the corners for the Seahawks? I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there's no T. Higgins, bro, I think Jamar Chase might go up again. They move him all over the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Jamar's coming off another big week. He's had a couple this year. Just goes to show, if you really look at his game log and you think about, how people were like, oh, Jamar is not producing, and you look at his game log and it's like, it's been a couple misses, but I mean, you take what you get. He single-handedly probably won you a matchup last week, or kept you in a matchup by scoring around 50 points.
52 points.
Yeah, 52 points. So, but if I'm looking at matchups, I'm looking at the Seahawks Bengals matchup, and then another one I would have my eye on would be, I think that Miami at home against Carolina has a chance to really do some damage.
Blowout special.
Especially if they're able to turn the ball over and get short fields. That's a lot of potential for touchdowns. We know Achin is out, obviously, sadly with the injury, but I don't think that they're going to miss a beat down at home against the worst team in the NFL.
They're the worst team in the NFL?
Yeah, they're the worst team in the NFL.
Worse than the Cardinals?
Yeah, they're
worse than the Broncos.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Paused. Yeah, I was gonna say that Miami game. Just I think if you have anybody on Miami's offense, it's gonna be fun to watch.
That's a fact.
Yeah. I guess if I had to pick one, I would go to Monday Night Football with the Chargers game against Dallas. I think that's gonna be a fun one to watch.
Please win, Chargers. That would be so fun.
Yeah, I think that it will be fun to watch because of Austin Eckler's return, obviously, and just Dallas entirely imploding over the last 2 weeks could just be either really
did they lose back-to-back games?
Yeah.
They lost to the Cardinals 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. Wasn't that the big blowout that the Cardinals actually won that we were all shocked about?
Well, they were about to beat the Giants and they beat the Cowboys. And then, I mean,
well, no, I think it was Patriots win in between there.
That's right. Well, nobody remembers that game because the Patriots didn't show up for back-to-back years. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But like I just think that will be a fun one to watch for like all the takes on the Cowboys afterwards too, in both teams, honestly. Like we said, Jordan, earlier in this season of our pod, like we're questioning Brandon Staley's like job security, and this is the week after the bye week. We thought if he hadn't gotten a win before the bye week, he could have been let go, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a big week, especially with Austin Ekeler coming back. Like we got to see something out of that offense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the Chargers can win that game. Yeah, if Justin's if he's good to go too, with Keenan, with Austin, and then also Palmer and stuff as well in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, and Khalil Mack, everybody's making a big deal about that 6-sack game. He does that versus bad tackles. I don't know if people watched it. That's pretty good. He has chunk games where he does that. So I'm not like, we'll see how their defense ends up coming up. Also, y'all, we have a comment. Somebody accepted Tyreek for Puka and A-Chain. They have Herbert, Mixon, A-Chain, Aaron Jones, Madison, Javante, JJ.
So he got Tyreek
for Puka and Devon, yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it with Devon being out. So I'm comfortable with that trade. That's a fair trade.
Who would thought Puka Nacua will be worth a trade asset for Tyreek Hill?
Who would have thought?
But y'all, this is going to be a really fun week. We got a lot of great games coming up. We will be back on Monday to talk about all of the games we saw on Sunday and get you ready for Monday Night Football. And hopefully this is helping you win your league, y'all. But look, X Factor Fantasy Football, we will see y'all on the other side.